The Battle of Chosin Reservoir, fought from November 27 to December 13, 1950, is remembered as one of the most grueling and dramatic engagements of the Korean War. It unfolded in the frigid, mountainous terrain of North Korea, where United Nations forces, primarily composed of the U.S. 1st Marine Division, faced an overwhelming Chinese counteroffensive in what would become a defining test of endurance, strategy, and sheer determination. The battle arose during a period of dramatic momentum for UN forces. Following the successful Incheon landing in September 1950, UN troops, led by General Douglas MacArthur, had recaptured Seoul and pushed northward with the ambitious goal of unifying Korea under anti-communist control. Despite mounting intelligence suggesting a large-scale Chinese intervention, MacArthur and his command underestimated both the scale of the Chinese forces and their capacity to launch a coordinated attack in the rugged Korean winter. The Chosin Reservoir area became the focus of this confrontation. The Chinese People's Volunteer Army, PVA, specifically the 9th Army, infiltrated the region with an estimated 120,000 soldiers, moving under cover of night and using the harsh terrain to conceal their positions. Opposing them were about 30,000 UN troops, including the 1st Marine Division under Major General Oliver P. Smith, elements of the U.S. Army, South Korean forces, and British Royal Marines. The Chinese strategy was to encircle and annihilate the UN forces by leveraging their superior numbers and the harsh winter conditions, where temperatures plunged to -40°F, creating an additional enemy for both sides. On the night of November 27, the Chinese launched a massive surprise assault, overwhelming several UN positions and cutting off key supply and communication lines. The attacks were relentless, with waves of Chinese soldiers swarming UN positions under the cover of darkness. Despite these devastating initial strikes, the U.S. Marines, renowned for their discipline and training, dug in and mounted a fierce defense. General Smith famously refused to acknowledge retreat, instead declaring that his forces were simply advancing in a different direction. His leadership proved instrumental in maintaining morale and coordination during what quickly became a fight for survival. Recognizing the dire situation, Smith and his commanders devised a plan to withdraw southward to the port of Hungnam, where an evacuation could be staged. The retreat, spanning 78 miles, 126 kilometers, would involve breaking through a series of Chinese roadblocks while under constant attack, protecting thousands of wounded, and salvaging as much equipment as possible, all in sub-zero temperatures and through narrow, icy mountain passes. At critical points like Yudam-ni, Hagaruri, and Kotori, UN forces fought desperate battles to hold strategic positions long enough to ensure their withdrawal route remained open. One of the most remarkable aspects of the retreat was the engineering effort at Hagaruri, where UN forces constructed a temporary airstrip under enemy fire. This airstrip allowed for the evacuation of over 4,000 wounded soldiers, a feat that saved countless lives and exemplified the resourcefulness and determination of the UN troops. Meanwhile, close air support from the U.S. Air Force and Navy proved invaluable, as aircraft delivered supplies, provided reconnaissance, and bombarded advancing Chinese forces. By the time the UN forces reached Hungnam, they had inflicted devastating losses on the Chinese. Although the UN suffered over 17,000 casualties, including those from combat, frostbite, and exposure, the Chinese endured even greater losses, with an estimated 40,000 soldiers killed, wounded, or incapacitated. Many of the Chinese casualties were a result of the extreme cold, which took a heavy toll on their ill-equipped and poorly supplied forces. The Battle of Chosin Reservoir was a tactical withdrawal but a moral and strategic victory for the UN forces. The bravery and resilience of the troops, particularly the U.S. Marines, earned them the nickname, the Chosin Few. Their ability to fight their way out of encirclement, inflict heavy losses on the enemy, and maintain cohesion under the harshest conditions showcased their discipline and tenacity. The battle remains a testament to the unforgiving nature of winter warfare and the unyielding spirit of soldiers who refuse to give up, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Today, it is celebrated as a defining moment in U.S. military history, symbolizing courage, sacrifice, and the will to endure.